Introduction. Introduction, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. In 1878, I graduated from the University of London as a doctor of medicine. I then became a surgeon and joined the army as an assistant surgeon. I was sent to a unit stationed in India. War had broken out with Afghanistan by the time I got there. My unit was deep in the enemy country, so I had plenty of work to do. Misfortune struck quickly. I was hit by an enemy bullet, and I would have died if my aide hadn't carried me to safety. For months I lay in a hospital with a terrible fever that almost killed me. I finally recovered, but I was so weak and thin that the army sent me back to England to regain my health. I had no friends or family in London, so I moved into a hotel. It was an expensive way to live, so I decided to look for a cheaper lodgings. The very day I decided this, I ran into Stamford, an old schoolmate. It was wonderful to see a friendly face in the great wilderness of London. I invited him to join me for lunch. "What have you been doing all yourself, Watson?" he asked me. "You are as thin as a rail and as brown as a nut." I gave him a short sketch of my army adventures. "Poor devil," he said. "What are you up to now?" "Looking for lodgings," I answered. "But how do you find comfortable rooms at a reasonable price?" "That's strange," said Stamford. "You're the second man today to say that to me." "Who was the first?" "A fellow who studies at the chemical laboratory at the hospital where I work. He was complaining this morning about not having someone to share a nice apartment that he had found but can't afford on his own. If he wants someone to share it with, I am the very man for him," I cried. Stamford gave me a strange look. "You don't know Sherlock Holmes yet," he said. "Perhaps you wouldn't like him." "Why? What's wrong with him?" "I didn't say there was anything wrong with him. He's a little strange, but seems to be a good enough fellow." "Is he a medical student?" I asked. "Not exactly," said Stamford. "I don't know what he's studying. He knows a lot about anatomy and chemistry, though, and his knowledge often astonishes the professors." "Well, I like to judge for myself," I said. "May I meet this friend of yours?" "He'll be at the lab," said Stamford. "Some weeks he works there from morning until night. We can go there after we have our lunch." That settled, we talked of other things, enjoying our meal.